This show's walking a tightrope with like no sign of wobble. It's really impressive. Daredevil, Born Again, episode 5. Short version, it's good. Again, it's really good. And like it's good in a comforting way in this case because it's dealing with a number of things that I'm not going to say I necessarily automatically assume that this show would screw up, but it dealt with a number of ideas and tropes and elements that I frequently see shows screw up. So like for point of reference, I have a tendency like this, what I'm about to say right here isn't relevant to this specific show, but just so people understand. I have a long history of railing against romantic subplots, especially in TV shows. And the thing is, it's not that I can't like them or that they can't even be done well. It's just I have seen them go off the rails so many more times than I have seen them work that I would just rather people stop trying. But every now and then they try them and they work out. And this is doing a number of things that I'm like, most of the time, if I knew a show was going to do that, I'm like, kind of rather you didn't, because I'm afraid you're going to screw it up. And they don't. They don't. Like, and this is a way more chill episode than the previous one, but it's still just as precisely balanced. Okay, where do we start? So, flashback stuff with Foggy, which I was honestly really afraid was going to come across as gimmicky as hell, but it doesn't. And it does a better job of selling Foggy as like, if not the core, at least an aspect of Matt's conscience than was certainly anything that was in the previous season. It does a really good job of that, showing us this early thing where Foggy has this connection to this guy who's not a good guy, but Foggy has a connection to him because he grew up around this guy, and he doesn't even like him, but he's also like, he doesn't deserve what's about to happen to him. And it's interesting seeing Matt at this earlier point in his life kind of being like, okay, but like, maybe if some of this stuff were to happen to him, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And what I actually really like, and this gets hammered as a point of emphasis, and especially comes up where, and like the way these things are interwoven in terms of the editing is really, really well done in terms of when they cut from one to the other. So we have, the emphasis on the concept of mercy. And that I think was really important and really wise. Because I feel like way too many shows lately have gone in on redemption and forgiveness. Not bad themes and can be done well, but mercy is something else. You can show mercy without it meaning you forgive someone. You can show mercy without it being a step that is towards the other character being redeemed. I mean, maybe not, but it's not required. Mercy is something that is only within yourself. It is something that you can give to another person, and whether or not they deserve it isn't really what's at stake. It's not a matter of, will they be better? Are they good enough people? It's like, mercy is about extending that grace to somebody regardless. And it's especially interesting having that contrasted with the stuff we see, obviously, with Kingpin that we have seen historically. And like the scene with Buck and Danny, which is wonderfully tense. Like, Danny was not a character I thought I was going to care about. And I definitely didn't think I was going to get like tense thinking something was going to happen to him, but I did. But, you're contrasting Matt getting this lesson from an earlier point in his life in mercy, not forgiveness, not redemption, but mercy. And that is contrasted with these men that he is trying to figure out how to deal with, who don't do mercy ever. I suppose you could argue Buck is like being merciful to Danny, but like, since there was already a body in the trunk, it seems pretty clear to me that this was always a massive "don't you dare screw up again" scare tactic, is sort of thing. So, anyways, seeing some of the and like, then that's not the only flashback stuff we get. We get flashbacks with Fisk and with Vanessa, and it was actually I love they paid attention. Like, obviously the Netflix shows have been canon. Duh. But there haven't been a ton of very direct callbacks to super specific details of the Netflix shows. But that they call back to that painting that Fisk bought. That was what brought him and Vanessa together. And we get this sort of background of her finding the painting and like kind of vouching for it, being like, if the right person sees this, I'm going to be able to sell this for so much more than it's worth. And we also get Fisk in the car, and Wesley is there, who is a character who died in season 1 on the Netflix show. It actually took me a second to recognize him, because at first, because of the dark lighting, I thought it was Buck. At first, I'm like, oh, are they retconning that Buck has been around longer? And then I realized, oh no, they got him back. Oh, cool. And it's just an attention to detail that I appreciate. And so the stuff with Vanessa, boy, you want to talk about something riding a line. And I'm not 100% going to say that the show's in the clear yet, but it hasn't blown it yet, I don't think. Because I was very, I was afraid of Vanessa just being killed, first of all, which ultimately she appears to die in this. But also, just, is this fridging? And reminder for those who aren't familiar with that particular piece of terminology, fridging is a term that, the narrative practice is old as dirt, but as a term comes from comic books. It was coined after a particular issue of Green Lantern, where Kyle Rayner's girlfriend was killed and stuffed in the fridge. And then Gail Simone, who's an amazing writer, and now writes comic books, and she's great, and also a world-class troll on social media, like the most wholesome troll ever. She's phenomenal. But anyway, she wrote a blog at the time called Women in Refrigerators, and talking about the practice of fridging and its prevalence in comics, and fridging being the brutalization and often killing of a woman for no reason other than to motivate the actions of a man. Because the reason Kyle Rayner's girlfriend was killed was to, make him really go hard against the villain who did it. A guy named Major Force, of all things. As if this guy mattered. Anyways, it's not a great practice. My go-to example that I tend to point to in more modern media that people might have seen, Deadpool 2. Yeah, they absolutely fridged Vanessa. Odd, actually, that it's the same name for the character in Deadpool 2 and now this. But yeah, Vanessa in Deadpool 2 was absolutely fridged. And I don't care that they brought her back at the end. Everything that he does in that movie is 100% motivated by the fact that she was killed. Her only relevance to the plot was her death. As a character, she did not matter. She was a means of motivating him to do what he did, and that is it. And it's part of the reason I really don't like that movie. Because Deadpool is supposed to be the self-aware and trope-savvy franchise. And you pulled that nonsense and played it straight. Bite me. But yeah. So the question becomes, is Vanessa in this different Vanessa? But is Vanessa in this being fridged? And I don't firmly have an answer yet. But just the fact that I don't firmly have an answer is actually kind of impressive. Because one of the hallmarks of fridging is that there is the casualness with which it was done. It's not like nobody is impacted and there's nobody noting the loss, but the emphasis generally on how it impacts the men around the death and very little about, this person as a person. Whereas here, because of the time they take with the flashbacks, and the flashbacks also give us, a sense of her not just with Fisk, because we get those glimpses of her, on her own, talking about this painting. So we get a little sense of her as her, even separate from him. And just the fact that she is given the chance to have these moments, and I was going to say goodbye, not really, because, she's not expecting to die. He's not expecting her to die. But, seeing him, in the room with her when she wakes up, and we've never seen Fisk break like that. Like he's crying, like he's choking it back, but he's crying. And the reason I'm hesitant to call this fridging is because unless they screw it up like next episode and in the aftermath, this to me feels more like they are demonstrating that she is way more important to him alive than dead. Now, is he, gonna go over the edge and like pull a bunch of stuff that maybe he wouldn't have done otherwise? Yeah, potentially. It might still be motivating some of his actions. But honestly, what we're getting from this is we have Poindexter, having done this, and he's kind of done now. So, he did this thing, and that was all he was trying to do. And he's prepared for Matt to just leave him behind. And with Fisk, he gets the chance to really have those moments and demonstrate to the audience and to her how much her life matters to him. So I don't think that there's going to be a moment, and we'll see, but I don't think there's going to be a moment like in the next episode dealing with the aftermath of him having lost her that's going to hit as hard as him still there with her and her waking up and him breaking down. Might you still be able to argue that functionally is it kind of still fridging? Maybe, but like fridging is not a strict XYZ technical scientific definition. Fridging is a vibe. Like there are plenty of instances of fridging where the character doesn't even die. There's unfortunately a lot of SA related stuff that I would basically categorize as fridging that goes on in a lot of media. But I at least as it's presented in this episode, spiritually, I don't think this is fridging. I think it has too much care for Vanessa as a character for me to consider it that. So yeah, it's dancing right along the line of like dealing in tropes and techniques that I see go wrong so often. And it's pulling them off. I'm actually really curious of what Danny's going to do the next time he sees BB. Because he almost got killed because of her. I'm also kind of curious as to whether or not, he will. I'll be curious whether or not it feels like the show is going to hold BB accountable. Like, I suppose it's technically true that it wasn't her who leaked it, but of course he's going to come to that conclusion. She's the person he told. So I'll be curious to see if the show either does a misdirect on that, which is that, like, no, I wasn't the one, like, somebody else got a hold of it or whatever, which I would find far less interesting. I would find it a lot more interesting if the show kind of confronts this. And, like, no matter what you thought you were accomplishing, you almost got him killed. And he has a right to be pissed about that. Now, will he have a right to do whatever he ends up doing as a result of this? Who knows? Depends on what they have him do. But we have to get to the end of this season because I'm in a general place right now where it's not that I don't expect, but I can't trust good things like shows, video games, movie franchises, things that are, multiple entries and take a while to come out. I can't trust a thing that is good to stay good by the end. And that having been said, this show, if it can stick the landing this season, will have done a lot to earn a lot of trust from me. Because, boy, I tell you now, at this point, even if the show starts to fall off in the next few episodes, these first 5 episodes alone really just put into sharp relief what a cobbled together disaster season 1 of this show was. Like, you could see the stitching, you could see the seams, you could see where stuff had been gutted out and stuck back in and didn't fit together properly. Last season was a mess. This is so smoothly integrated. Like the plot lines and the way things move forward, the friction between characters, it's freaking seamless this season. It's really putting into sharp relief what a mess last season was. And I'm not wagging my finger at anyone in specific on that. Like, I know there was like There was a whole bunch of rewrites and reshoots. And so whether the problem is the people who stepped in to try and fix this thing, when maybe it would have been better to leave it as a more coherent thing in its original vision, or maybe the original version was actually not something worth saving and they needed to sort of override it, and this was the best they could do. I don't know, and I never will. But regardless of how it got there, last season was a mess, and this is smooth as butter. Please stay good. Please stay good. Because I'm liking this a lot, and I need this. I need this right now. But yeah, Daredevil episode 5. You've seen it. What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. They all help me out. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lafula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperol, Dave Hall, Oliver B, Mystic Shadow, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Becky Sparks, Twilord, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, Magdalena, Sir Didymus is my favorite. And to thank some supporters from the lower tiers, thank you to Wordmaker, Lucy Llewellyn, and Beginner's Mind Podcast. And if you want to hear me say your name as well, you can check out the rewards on the Patreon, and there's other stuff besides, and it'll help keep these absurd creatures fed.